But I love my grandma. Loved her very much. My grandma taught me about a lot. Taught me what religion is. Taught me everything you can know about religion. And one quick story, I'll tell you now. When I graduated from high school, my grandma came to me, gave me a big hug, said, "Anthony, I'm so proud of you. You're my first grandchild to get to go to college. What can I do for you? What can I give you before you go to college?" And I said, "Honestly, Grandma, all I need from you is money." Yeah, I know you guys have never been, but college is expensive. And my grandma said, "Okay, Anthony, I understand." So a couple months go by, it's the end of the summer, I'm packing up my dad's car, getting ready to go to school, and my grandma walks up, says, "Anthony, here, before you leave, take this." And she handed me a brand new Bible, King James Version. And I said, "Thanks, Grandma, that's exactly what we talked about." Got in the car and I went off to school. A couple of weeks go by, I'm hanging out in my dorm room, having a good time, when the phone rings. It's my grandma. She says, "Anthony, just calling to see how college is going." I said, "Grandma, college is the best. I'm having the time of my life. But to be honest, I'm already starting to run low on money. And I could use a little bit, like we talked about." She said, "Okay, Anthony, well, let me ask you this. Have you been reading your Bible?" And I said, "Totally, Grandma. I'm on chapter 4. She said, "Okay, Anthony. Well, then I guess I'll talk to you later." Hung up the phone. A couple of months go by. Now I'm really starting to struggle financially. I'm gonna have to drop out of school if I don't get some money. So I call my grandma in a panic. I say, "Grandma, please, it's Anthony. I'm having the time of my life in college. I love it here. But if I want to graduate, and I do, I need you to send me some money like we talked about." She said, "Well, Anthony, let me ask you this. Have you been reading your Bible?" And I said, "Yes, Grandma. I wish it was longer." And she said, "Okay, Anthony. Well, then I guess I'll talk to you later." Finally, it's the end of the school year. I've got straight A's, but I'm dropping out of college because I have no more money left. And I'm furious. I'm close to tears cleaning out my dorm room. When the phone rings, it's my grandma. She says, "Anthony, I heard you're dropping out of school today. How come?" And I said, "You know goddamn well how come, Grandma. Because you wouldn't give me any money." She said, "Well, Anthony, let me ask you this. Did you read your Bible?" And I just hung up the phone. I was so pissed off. Took everything out of that room. The last thing I took off the shelf, the last thing I took out of that room was that Bible my grandma had given me. Took it off the shelf, held it in my hands, and for the first time, I actually opened it up. And right there, on the very first page, in my grandmother's handwriting, it said, "Fuck you."
TV is all screwed up. Any kids here? I mean, little kids. I know a lot of people bring their little kids down here. How old are you, man? How old? 30. Oh, you're gonna be fucked up when you leave.
Dad, what's a dick? What is that?
How old's the other dude right there? Oh, y'all fucked up now. Y'all thought I would be going like this, "Okay," and all that shit, right? You ain't know I'd be saying, "Our dicks is this big." Kids gonna be waking up like this,
The Negro's dicks are coming to get me, Mom!
I'm gonna tell y'all a little joke y'all can tell in school, all right? Because I've been telling this dirty stuff. Okay? Here's a little joke for y'all. Y'all can listen to it too. But I know lots of times people see my show, then go to work and try to tell my act and fuck my jokes up on the job and shit. And then he said, "Goonie Google." And he had a G.I. Joe up his ass. Hey, I'm Mr. T. I'll rip your cock off with my ass. And dude be standing going, "Yeah, that's very funny shit." Here's a joke that you can tell down at school when school starts. Everybody be quiet now. Are you listening, guys? A bear and a rabbit are taking a shit in the woods. And the bear turns to the rabbit and says, "Excuse me, do you have problems with shit sticking to your fur?" And the rabbit says, "No." So the bear wiped his ass with the rabbit.
I talked to a lot of people before I got engaged, and I heard this expression about whether or not you should get married. This is an old expression. People say this. They say, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? You ever heard that before? It's a bananas insulting expression to an entire gender. But also, it makes no sense. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? You're not allowed to milk a cow that you don't own. That's not even a situation. Was that a problem at one point? Like in the dairy community? Was that happening like 100 years ago in some village? Some Dutch prick was sneaking in at night being like, "Ah ha ha, I take your milk." And the farmer was like, "Well, then this is your cow now." And he was like, no, proof of purchase. And he ran off into the night. That sounded Dutch, right? You know what that expression means? It means, why would you marry a woman if she's already having sex with you? Which has nothing to do with what relationships are even like anymore. Now it's like, why buy the cow, ? Maybe because every day the cow asks you when you're gonna buy it, and you live in a really small apartment with the cow, so you can't avoid that question at all. And also, the cow is way better at arguing than you are. And the cow grew up in a family that knows how to argue. Why buy the cow, ? Maybe because every time another cow gets bought, you have to go to the sale, and you have to sit next to your cow at the sale, and your cow looks over at you the entire time like, and does not enjoy the sale at all. Even though she's the one that wanted to go to the sale. And she's especially mad because that farmer and cow met like 8 months after you guys met. Why buy the cow? Well, let's be real here. You're very lucky to have the cow that you do have. Roping in cows and getting milk out of them was never anything you were known for, John. By the most liberal of estimates, there have been about 8 cows total, several unmilked, and a lot of people think that you like bulls, and if you just they assume it. When you search your name, the third thing to come up is like, John Mulaney bull, ? And if you just bought the cow, nobody would say that anymore. They'll still say it. Because there are those guys who they buy a cow and then on the side, total matador. But for real, Chicago, why buy the cow? Let's be real. Why buy the cow? Because you love her. You really do. And yeah. Sure, she's a bossy little Jew, but she takes care of you, and you don't want to be some old man stumbling around like, "Hey, you seen any loose milk?"
So one time I'm flying into Albany, New York, okay? A city that nobody really goes to. So I'm on a smaller plane, and everything's going great. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, we hit this turbulence, just right? And it stops, and everybody looks around like laughing nervously, like, oh. All of a sudden, it comes back with a vengeance. You can literally hear like the metal the plane's made out of, like. All of a sudden, this dude, like 3 rows back, starts making like these bitchy noises, like, woo, 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 woo. I'm not gonna lie, I have never been so fucking scared in my entire life. Dude, that noise is acceptable out of a female or a child. To turn around and see a 37-year-old mustachioed male going, woo, woo, woo. Dude, the hair was standing up on my arms. I'm praying to a higher power. I don't even believe in this shit. I just wish I had the balls to turn around and be like, dude, would you shut the fuck up? Jesus Christ, be a man, push it down. Push it down. Deny your feelings. Act like you have answers. Do some man shit right now. Do some man shit. Jesus Christ. You know, you think I'm not up here thinking, I am. But how does that help us for me to join you and turn this fuselage into a haunted house? You know? You know what kills me? What absolutely kills me is some woman is gonna fall in love with this guy, marry him, and make half fucking kids. And you know what? We become weaker as a species. We do.
You know, you have your bad thoughts. Hopefully you do good things. Everybody has a competition in their brain of good thoughts and bad thoughts. Hopefully the good thoughts win. For me, I always have both. I have like the thing I believe, the good thing. That's the thing I believe. And then there's this thing. And I don't believe it, but it is there. It's always this thing and then this thing. It's become a category in my brain that I call, of course, but maybe. I'll give you an example. Okay, like of course, children who have nut allergies need to be protected. Of course. We have to segregate their food from nuts, have their medication available at all times, and anybody who manufactures or serves food needs to be aware of deadly nut allergies. Of course. But maybe if touching a nut kills you, you're supposed to die. Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. Jesus. I have a nephew who has that. I'd be devastated if something happened to him. But maybe, maybe, if we all just do this for 1 year, we're done with nut allergies forever. No, of course not. Of course, if you're fighting for your country and you get shot or hurt, it's a terrible tragedy. Of course. Of course. But maybe if you pick up a gun and go to another country and you get shot, it's not that weird. Maybe if you get shot by the dude you were just shooting at, it's a tiny bit your fault. Of course, slavery is the worst thing that ever happened. Listen, you all clapped for dead kids with the nuts. For kids dying from nuts, you applauded. So you're in this with me now, do you understand? You don't get to cherry pick. Those kids did nothing to you. Of course, slavery is the worst thing that ever happened. Of course it is. Every time it's happened. Black people in America, Jews in Egypt, every time a whole race of people has been enslaved, it's a terrible, horrible thing. Of course. But maybe every incredible human achievement in history was done with slaves. Every single thing where you go, how did they build those pyramids? They just threw human death and suffering at them until they were finished. How did we traverse the nation with a railroad so quickly? We just threw Chinese people in caves and blew them up and didn't give a shit what happened to them. There's no end to what you can do when you don't give a fuck about particular people. You can do anything. That's where human greatness comes from, is that we're shitty people, that we fuck others over. Even today, how do we have this amazing microtechnology? Because the factory where they're making these, they jump off the fucking roof because it's a nightmare in there. You really have a choice. You can have candles and horses and be a little kinder to each other, or let someone suffer immeasurably far away just so you can leave a mean comment on YouTube while you're taking a shit.